right, everyone. If this is your first time tuning in, I am here to announce this is Town Talk. You may have heard it, you may have seen it before, but we've got a new look, people. We've got a new tone, a new vibe. I've got a new hat. If you're not watching, on TV or the actual footage and you're just listening on Spotify or something, Sam's got her fancy cup over here. Oh, by the way, maybe I should toss it over to my co-hosts over here. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm Ashley Struve. I'm the Director of Communications for the City of Victoria.
Yes, I am Sam. I'm the Communications Specialist for the city. You might know me from a recent commercial where I was trying to recycle a can of paint. But in real life, I work for the city and I do a lot of writing and social media and whatnot.
You did a great job, Sam.
Thank you.
What a great resident. What a great resident. As well as an employee, recycling. I'm AJ Gonzalez. I'm just here to hang out, to be honest. I've got two intelligent women around me. So we'll see where I fit in all of this.
He's being coy. He's being too demure.
He also works for the city, too.
He's
not just, he didn't just walk in here.
But I'm sure they know that
And
already.
he's also the creative producer of this show, so kudos. Good job. Everyone's played a role. Speaking of introductions, we've got a
whole
cool
crew.
cast and crew back here. So shout out to them, too. Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in and for everyone who's helping put this on. Okay, so without further ado, the big question of the day is, how's y'all's day? How's everything going?
Well, we're filming this on a Tuesday, which is what AJ and I like to call Newsday Tuesday because it is the day that our newsletter comes out. And if you're not subscribed, go to victoriatx.gov/cityview to get all the news delivered to your inbox every Tuesday. But my Tuesday morning always looks like putting the stories in place in our program that we use and making sure everything is correct and ready to go. And saying, hey, Ashley, did you give this story a look yet? And that
likely
kind of thing,
was a no.
Which she does.
Just kidding. I do.
It's a good day so far then. Mm-hmm. Mine, we've been setting up all day. So we're here now. We're finally mic'd up, recording.
Cool.
How was your day, Ashley?
It was great. Oh, my gosh. He brought
I didn't know that was
button.
there.
For those who are listening and can't see what the heck this guy has in his hands, it's a goat button. We have joked all month long about the first episode and bringing this button into the mix.
Bringing a meme from 2010 into the mix.
Hey, we're millennials, okay? We're trying.
Camera,
we're not. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Cool. Okay, well, you do your thing. But we do have a show to run.
We do, actually.
What is the first topic, folks?
First topic we got
about?
Going on. We have a good little show for you, but first topic is all the visible projects that have been completed around the city.
Yep.
This has been a big year, the bicentennial year. There's just tons of things that have finished up. We are still in the process of a few of them, but man, we've gotten to enjoy them as the city of Victoria. So, Sam, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with maybe a couple of those?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's hard for people to conceptualize when you say, oh, we're going to invest in our community and we're going to build, live, work, play. They don't always really get that. But once those projects start happening and they see the fruits of it, then people get really excited about it. And one project that I know that people are excited about it because they've been talking about it since I started working for the city, it seems like, and it's finally got completed last year, is the duck pond in Riverside Park. And we have a photo up there.
What a beautiful photo.
Yeah, for those that, once again, aren't watching, we do have photos. So if you want to, you can pop over to YouTube or wherever we post online and check out the photos. Yep. It might enhance it a little bit.
Yeah, but Ashley, to get back to the talking of the part of the podcast, I know that you have two little ones, right? So the duck pond, of course, would be something that you like to go check out?
For sure. I often hear of community members who have like all these memories as child, memories just coming to the duck pond and checking out the gazebo, the scene. Yeah. And it's crazy to think about because I never really had a whole lot, but my coworker did. She was telling me about raising her children up over there, and then there's mine who are starting to grow up to that age where they can start fishing. I mean, my gosh, that's a cool, feature that's been added to just the lifestyle that we're bringing to the community. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, the gazebo is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was
See a lot of people taking their photos there,
Yeah.
like quinceañera photos,
We recently went to a wedding
an
there.
engagement photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So
So-
there's weddings. So you can do, I guess, just about anything there.
Anything.
Yeah, but it's
Walking
beautiful.
around, hanging out
And-
with the kids. Yeah.
I think that it's one thing to note is that there's a lot of visible projects being completed or at least constructed. So oftentimes I hear residents saying, wow, it's so cool to see Victoria growing. And just a point of note, we'll probably talk about it later, is growth versus projects being completed are two different things. So we'll just talk about that later. But it is exciting to see the duck pond being done. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about others like Leon Plaza, right? That's another one. If you're here thinking about raising a family or you're wanting to come to Victoria and raise a family, you're going to look for little, amenities like that. And so Leon Plaza was actually it was originated from the Comp 2035 plan, which was this overarching organizational, even community development that transpired out of key stakeholders and really grassroots efforts. So that was really cool to see everybody come to a head and say, hey, here's what we want our community to look like, and here's the priorities in which we want to get to those places. And so one of which was born out of that effort was the master plan for downtown. And so here we are. There's a beautiful photo of Martín de Leon and his wife, Patricia de la Garza. So we saw the conclusion of the master plan's efforts with the De Leon expansion project. We also saw the performance pavilion added. A lot of people would talk about, oh, well, we've got a music scene here. We're now a music-friendly designation within the state of Texas. And so those sort of things are cool. Like when you're thinking about, what does my community have to offer? I remember seeing people think, well, born and raised here, like I can think of some things, but now it's visible. You can start saying some of that.
Well, it was pretty cool seeing everybody come out to this was at April 13th celebration, the bicentennial celebration. Tons of people there. The pavilion has been used multiple times since then. A great, addition to the downtown. I know for a while, it was like, well, we'll lose a road, but hey, we've got a pavilion there that is going to only attract more things. Right, Sam?
Right, exactly.
Like,
and you were just telling us today about the festival that's come to Victoria for the first time. What was the name of it again?
Red Dirt Barbecue Festival.
Something like that, right?
Fun
Yeah.
fact, it's going to be here in November.
Yeah.
So it's a day-long festival. I just learned it's November 9th, which is a Saturday. So this is after ours, which is Tejas Fest. So that's the first weekend in October, Friday and Saturday. This one's one day. And I believe tickets are like $129. It covers like VIP entry. You get, I believe, 15 plus different types of barbecue vendors coming to town and
intense.
sampling.
Oh, okay. So
we know that Victoria, because, Joel and CVB offer the Texas Barbecue Coast Trail. And so for visitors, so that's another, we just know there's an appetite, literally, for barbecue here. So that's going to be cool.
Music,
and live music. Yes.
Around here, growing up, the big music scene was Schrader Hall. And with it no longer being up and running, there's been an absence, I guess you can say. So having the pavilion, having these festivals is going to be awesome. That's one that's coming from outside. Now, from internally the city, we have something big as well coming up this fall.
Tejas Fest. Going to be big. True to Tejas.
Yeah, and it's what a great venue to be able to have for that, not just in the plaza, but throughout downtown as well. There's going to be a second stage, for instance. But with that being said, the expansion project was such a big project that the stage is, yes, the most visible element of it, but there were also like a really lot of little quality of life improvements. And I have a list of them if I could just read them very quickly.
Yeah.
So we had sidewalk and ADA improvements. That's disability, wheelchair access, that kind of thing. Drainage improvements, the performance pavilion, of course. The restroom, which is really great. If you're downtown, you've got those little ones. They need to use the bathroom.
Let me just say a thing about the restrooms. They are air conditioned.
Yeah, that's actually,
I hate to like dog our own stuff, but like some in the park, they're just like, you might see a beehive in the corner. These are legit. So it's pretty cool now that we're taking this holistic effort, taking into the account the community's needs. one of which is a bathroom.
Yeah, and you can sit next to the water fountain.
Yep.
And then that might actually make you go use the restroom too, because doesn't the sound of water make you have to go use the restroom?
Right.
Well,
I think.
it is a very nice fountain, and there is shaded seating too. I don't think they're in the picture we have up doesn't have the umbrellas because they weren't out that day, but there's shaded seating areas, and then some improvements were made to the area in front of the Six Flags monument because, of course, that's where we put the statue. So we wanted to just make sure that was looking nice.
Yeah, I think it's just a wonderful opportunity for visitors, residents alike, to come downtown and experience Victoria from a whole other perspective with friends and family. I mean, Mariachi Tapatio is on the screen right now. They came and they did a wonderful performance for our April 13th celebration where we turned 200 years old. And that was the first kind of like hoorah, like opening of the use of the performance pavilion. Since then, I've seen, Chick-fil-A had their 5K. I've seen a few others, host some events there. I've heard of a few others that are going to host their events downtown. And so it's just exciting to see it
Practically
growing.
booked for the rest of the year.
That is actually correct. I just talked to Kate Garcia,
Yeah.
our Main Street manager. That's what she said, is that they're booked for pretty much the rest of the year. So yeah, you're right.
So Tejas Fest.
Cool.
Make
Look
sure
forward
you
to
show
it.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be there.
Yeah, we will.
4th and
Working.
5th, October 4th and 5th.
There you go.
Tejano music, country music, food, stuff for the kids, everything. So
Yeah.
make sure you show up.
For
Which
sure.
Which brings me to the next part of our show. We're going to do this reoccurring segment. One of the big topics that gets talked about a lot in Victoria by residents is, of course, streets.
Yes,
right?
that's
Their
right.
favorite. So we're going to call this segment The Word on the Streets. And
Sam with the word on the street.
And what I got for y'all,
Who better?
I got something for both of y'all though.
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so we have a couple of social media comments that I just gonna pop up there. And I'm gonna let y'all just digest it and just provide your feedback.
Okay.
I guess an
So
educational feedback.
this is both of us, Sam and I.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
This is
hit
for
us.
y'all.
Hit us
I don't
with
have
what
to
you
answer.
got.
This is not on me. All right.
Oh, it's
So
a comment.
we had a comment. Yes,
All
we
right.
had a comment. So this comment stems from a post that we had on Ben Jordan and Airline Utility that recently
There was
had
a
a-
water main break.
Yes,
Yeah.
water main break that occurred. And to kind of put it into context, I believe towards the end she's talking about Larkspur
Got it.
Street. So that's
Okay.
just to kind of put it into perspective for you. So the comment says, so the repair they did last January wasn't done correctly? Or this is near the repair they did last January? Seems like this area is in serious need of actual road repairs, not just a patch up. And we're talking about Ben Jordan and Airline.
Yeah.
If they quit maintaining roads that don't need any repairs, they could channel that money into streets that are literally caving in.
I think the first thing I can't help but see is if you're talking about what happened at Ben Jordan, Sam alluded to it a second ago, it was a water main break. So that had absolutely nothing to do with the condition of the road. So whether it was, a preventative maintenance job or, whatever, it wasn't going to fix it. What it was, if you're not aware, like there's a lot of utilities under the actual roadway that nobody ever sees or probably thinks about. One of which is a water main, water lines. And so if it breaks, it causes almost like an eruption.
A swelling.
And then it's swelling, that's a better word, of the actual materials that surface the road. And so when it kind of dissipates, it creates a kind of what people are trying to say is a sinkhole.
We don't
And
wanna
it
call it
looks
that.
like that, but it's not at
It's
all
not an
that.
actual sinkhole.
Hey, I'm gonna hit on the hot topic, the buzzwords that to say that that's not at all what it was. It was not a sinkhole. It was not the condition of the road. It was the underlying utilities. And so what residents might have seen when they drove by was this big hole that looked much worse than the actual affected area if you were first coming upon it. And the reason why was because our crews within Public Works had to go in, cut it out essentially to get into the water main and, patch the line, fix it, make sure it was replaced, and then patch up the road and make it drivable.
Sam, because I know this is one thing you love to educate the public about when it comes to street repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talk
well,
about that.
it's not something that I would choose to do on my free time, but it is something that I take pride in being able to do.
Oh, why not?
I love it. I mean,
wonder
because
why.
of you, I can actually explain to people about streets. So
So, Ashley, you did a really good job of explaining what the condition was of that road that the resident was talking about. But with that being said, I think that she kind of hit on something that I see quite common, which is people saying, why are you ignoring this street over here that's in bad shape while you're doing maintenance on another street that's not as bad?
Happens all the time.
And, just as AJ alluded to earlier, I believe that she might have been referring to a recent work that was done on Larkspur, which is what we see in the picture.
Are we talking about the commenter on
Yes.
social? Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
comment, yeah.
So
I can see that.
So that was you can see there a steamroller that's chugging down a street that's clearly in pretty good shape, and we have streets that are much worse than that.
Right.
And I think what is important to understand is that there are a lot of different kinds of street projects, and what we're seeing on Larkspur and streets like it is a form of preventative maintenance called seal coating, which is just like putting down a top layer of asphalt on the street. That's all. It's done very quickly. And it costs a heck of a lot less than tearing up a street and doing those repairs, which we also do, but we only get like a couple of those projects per year just because of how expensive they are.
Right. Well, and there's also a street index. There's a scientific approach to which ones are determined to be taken up into the CIP for the next 1 to 5 fiscal years. Of course, we do receive professional feedback and input. We do receive counsel from literally our city council and city manager's office. But at the end of the day, this street simply did not need that much work. It wasn't a result of the street's condition. So cool.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say as compared to some other ones that full reconstruction, but that's for another day.
For another day.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a series. I mean, this is a segment.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about streets. No matter what we do, the topic could be about economic development. And yet here we are. We're gonna end up talking about streets.
How many streets do we have again?
That's
How many
related.
We have
miles?
329 miles of
There we go.
streets
I knew
throughout
somebody knew
Victoria.
this.
And in case you're wondering, Ken Gill loves to say it this way: is imagine traveling from here to Dallas, and that's the amount of roadway that we have to keep up with, to ensure preventative maintenance is taking place, to evaluate and get the street index completed on each. And so that's a lot. That's a lot that we have to do. Not to mention TxDOT. They have their own, but that's another topic.
Yeah, another topic.
Yeah.
Speaking of all these streets that we have, we
you
do have
got
one
another
more.
one.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
another comment.
okay.
Yeah, I come prepared with 2 of them. This comment reads, I was just in Victoria as a Houston refugee. It was nice driving on newly constructed roads. Some of them I remember being as bad as Houston roads. Good job. Good job.
I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Blurred
don't
out
always
lady.
get told
We
good
can't
job.
see your name.
I mean, I didn't personally fix the road, but good job, guys, that are out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's cool. I think, Sam, you could probably talk about this a little bit more too, because you're always writing on this topic. But just in general, we often see people who are in their hometown and they often see, the same roads that they drive. It's kind of mundane to them. But when you have a visitor come in and they experience the roadway a little bit differently, oh my goodness, there's one example. It's just so much more apparent to them. Oh, there is work being done, which can easily be misconstrued.
I showed the bad picture, but yes, you're right. There is
Now we're going back to the negativity. Come on, AJ, bring it back. Anyway, Sam, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. So to give a little context, the picture that AJ just pulled up is Pleasant Green Drive, which I believe is what the woman was referring to, because I remember that comment on that story.
Oh, nice.
So this was a road that
In
was
case-
obviously in very bad shape that we just started a reconstruction project. And that's one of the ones that I alluded to earlier, that they take a while and they're really expensive, but we do try to hit, a few per year so that we can get
I have
those
another
going.
one right there too.
Well, hold that thought. I want to say real quick,
Oh.
in case you're listening for the first time and you're like, who are these people? Sam, by the way, is one of several who monitor our social media day in and day out. And so we do our best to respond online, but I think this is also a really cool series. So thanks for putting this together.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's awesome. So
All right. So what do we have on the screen now? Patty Welder, North Street.
That is a crack that is about to swallow up Patty Welder
One way to
Middle
put it.
School. There was a person commented on that story, said, "Oh no, it's going to swallow up Patty Welder." And I was like, "You win the internet, sir, today. Congratulations."
Well, I mean, the angle, people can't
Yeah.
see it if you're just listening, but the angle that the photo is taken,
Very
it kind of
ominous.
looks very, what you'd see in a horror
like a monster
film.
just stepped right outside the frame and just made that
Okay.
crack.
But there is hope, right, for
Yeah.
people who drive this every day.
Yes.
because I know that it is underway. So it's going to be, you want to talk about that, Sam?
Yeah, underway might be a bit of a strong term. The discussion.
When I say underway, I mean the fact that it's getting approved and like pushed on into the CIP is a big deal. So to
Absolutely.
be considered for the chopping block of streets, if you will, within the next year or however many is a big deal, because you're at least doing your due diligence from a fiscal perspective to say what are the funds that X amount of street repair or preventative maintenance is going to require for this particular street. And so to get all the people on board, to get all the studies done, and then to find the budget for it, that's a big deal. So,
And if somebody has a street that they want addressed, like how do they go about that? How do they go about telling the public or telling somebody, an official or anybody?
So the first thing that I always tell people before they look for someone from the city to bring it up with is to go on our webpage, victoriatx.gov/engineering, and click on the capital improvement plan link that's on that page, because that will show you the streets that are on the plan for the next, I believe it's a 4-year range. And just as Ashley alluded to, they're approved from year to year. So it is a tentative schedule, but you can at least look at that and see if your street is in the works.
and if you don't see it in the works, then you can submit a request at victoriatx.gov/CIP request. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, let's get those streets fixed. I like it. With good streets come a lot of traffic, and that might sound bad, but it also kind of leads us into our next topic, which is growth. Grow Victoria. Ashley, I know you've been in the talks with the Grow Victoria initiative that's been going on. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of introduce the topic, and maybe I'll learn something from this as well.
Yeah, for sure. So that's obviously a concept that was originated from our economic development director and in conjunction with our city manager's office. But I think the residents are going to start to hear more about this effort, right? Because it's a community effort. It's going to take everybody. It's not just going to be the city necessarily leading the charge. It's got to take everyone, every partner in the community who has a stake, right? Everyone has its own stakeholders, but those all make up the community to then make this thing happen. And really what it is just educating the community, the stakeholders, to partner together to identify what are your priorities. What helps, first of all, an economy grow? What helps the community to grow? And so that, of course, is going to be headed up by our mayor. The question that I kind of alluded to at the top of this whole podcast was, what does it mean to grow Victoria? And a lot of people think that growth means a lot of things happening. But actually, while it is definitely a worthy cause to build all the projects that we saw underway, it is one of many kind of pillars, elements, factors that bring growth to Victoria. And when we say grow, we're talking about population, which, by the way, if you didn't see our city manager's pay compensation study, presentation to council, the growth in Victoria is actually only at 8.1%. So that, in comparison to other cities, is actually not very much. So I think that's a concept that we don't want to necessarily let it bog us down, but we do want it to open our eyes and say, okay, what can we do then as a community to come together and help grow this tax base, this
well, because in reality, that's where it comes
disposable
from,
income,
right? Yeah.
like the amount of residents that come here, that stay here, the amount of jobs that are brought to Victoria. How does that affect, businesses coming to Victoria, but, the population growing? And then, like I said earlier, not saying I'm not ever going to advocate for increase or decrease. That's not at all what I'm talking about. Just solely population and business retention here in Victoria. So it's definitely a multifaceted approach, and it takes everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Sounds like there's a lot of factors. It's not just as simple as there is a lot of people, or that this business will do great here, or there's many different factors when it comes to the growth of Victoria.
I mean, we can talk about economic development all day, and I'm sure that's going to be a justification we can get Danielle, maybe Jesus on at a later episode. But for now, we're just kind of skimming the surface of what is Grow Victoria, and it's really just that. It's looking at all the different pillars or factors like, recreation and amenities, how to enhance livability in Victoria and the quality of life that people who do stay here or move here are going to experience when they are here, which in turn attracts and develops businesses because they want to see what's the sustainability of people that I'm going to bring, my workforce, my employees, when they do move here. So they look at all kinds of stuff. Up here on the screen, it looks like AJ threw up a photo of Longhorn Steakhouse. Kudos, because while we don't determine what businesses do decide to come here, we can at least market to them, which is what our economic development director, Danielle Williams, does in conjunction with our city manager's office, like Jesus, Mike, Derek. They all play a role in attracting business. And so this was one of the most recent ones that we were able to bring into Victoria, Longhorn Steakhouse. If you haven't been, check it out.
I have not been.
Definitely not a hater of food. I do not discriminate with food. Yeah. So anytime you want to bring a new person in or a new restaurant in, I'm like, heck, that gives me that many more options for date night for my kids who are already picky. So
another steak option
anyway,
as well.
Yeah.
I haven't been. I don't know.
No? Sam, have you been?
Have you?
Well, I personally have not. I don't really eat out too much, except for when my parents come to visit. We'll go out to some of these new restaurants, and we always get to try new things. It seems like because there are new ones coming up, just like you alluded to. So it's really great. I think that we have that not only because it gives us something to do and the people that come to visit us something to do, but also it's more income through property tax, through sales tax, and that is something that helps to bring in more income to the city without us having to raise
the disposable income that comes with spending your dollars here locally. I mean, Danielle could sit here and get really excited about pushing that one home is shop local, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason, because the revenue goes directly to the sales tax, which is revenue for us to then be able to a portion of it, right? Because it gets split through the different taxing entities, but through us to then pay for the road reconstruct, to pay for public safety services and other general services that sustain a community. So thanks, that was a good point. And yes, I have tried the steak.
Yeah. Oh, is it good?
I did, and it was very good. And I'm a steak connoisseur.
So I guess I have to go on date night with my wife.
Yes, you should.
Now it's on tape. So
we're voluntolding you. Take your wife out to Longhorn Steakhouse.
So Longhorn Steakhouse, though, is an example, though, of one of the incentive programs. Well,
right. They received a tax incentive through the VSTDC, which is, just as Ashley alluded to, takes a portion of sales tax, and it's specifically set aside for these types of economic development projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I did want to say one of the other factors that contribute to growth within the community, and especially to commercial business being brought into a community, is going to be some of that developable land. And to think about, there's commercial that want to move into a community, but it's going to depend on the cost. Rising construction costs versus residential, that's a factor.
Yeah.
So the construction costs is definitely playing a role in whether your Cracker Barrel gets to Victoria or not. I had to use that as an example because that's the one I constantly hear about. And honestly, I would love for Cracker Barrel to get to Victoria. But again, it's not our decision, it's the business's decision. But if we can kind of work with, land developers and that area, of course, drainage costs a lot too. So all of those costs, the commercial industries, businesses looking to come to Victoria, that's another factor too. But ultimately, they look at the community as a whole. Where's the population density? Where am I going to set up shop? They work with data. What is the success going to be if I do set up shop here? And then again, what's the sustainability of the economy here? What is the community? How is it going to benefit my employees who come to move here, and me included? So those are a lot of questions that they ask, and I'm very confident in the efforts of our subject matter experts in that field here at the city, which is going to be our city manager's office, our council, even being educated in this topic themselves, and then of course our economic development director, Danielle Williams, who's helping market to those companies. And then, we would be remiss if we didn't recognize the Victoria Economic Development Corporation, who's doing a very good job there to attract and bring jobs to Victoria and industry. And of course, there's a lot of other, factors and entities that are working towards growing Victoria. But I look forward to Mayor's State of the City. If you can't tell, the recording of this is prior to the Mayor's State of the City, but he's going to really hit this message home, and he's going to do so in a great way.
Grow Victoria. So just remember
Let's do it together, folks.
That's awesome. Well, that's all I've got as far as topics or anything for y'all.
Oh, man. That's exactly what I thought. I'm feeling this goat button in my heart and mind. This was a great podcast.
Does that need to be like the transition button of some sort? Like, all right, guys, we got to move on.
No.
That
Is
sounds
that, is that
intense.
how
Is
you're
that
going
an
to get me
actual
to?
screaming
Is
gun?
that how you're going to get me to stop talking?
I don't know, but is this an actual screaming gun?
I
How
just
did
want
they-
the hype button right here. Because I would play a hype button right now if you had one.
I don't know if I have one, but we might have one somewhere in the back.
All right. Well, without further ado, this has been the first new episode of Town Talk. If this is your first time tuning in to Town Talk, we hope that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Help us get this word out to the community to help us all stay informed, but also to have conversation starters. We hope that it's been fun and enlightening to you. This is new. So again, we can't do it without you. Hope you help us and stay tuned. We'll see you next time.
They forgot the notification button.
That was great.